You have an interest in listing a car on Turo, but there are so many questions that you have and so many that you haven't even thought of yet that you don't even know where to start. Well, today's your lucky day. I have just a video for you that's going to give you the most comprehensive guide to starting your business on Turo and being successful at it. So without further ado, let's get into the video. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Those of you that don't know me, my name is Joe. I run a rental car business here in Jacksonville, Florida on Turo. And today I wanted to go through some of the most commonly asked questions about starting your Turo business. Everything from vehicle eligibility to insurance to anything that you can possibly think of. I'm gonna try and cover as much of it as I possibly can here in this video. Now, before I get into this, I am gonna say this business is not for the faint of heart. This is not a truly passive business. You do have to do a little bit of work. So I try to show that as much as I possibly can in my videos and show you how much work is actually involved. So as I mentioned, I have a list here of commonly asked questions of those that are looking to start their Turo business about where to go, how to start, all those different questions. So we'll cover as much of it as we can. If you have any further questions and you don't get them answered in this video, leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to answer your questions as they come. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. So one of the commonly asked questions is about what type of car should I list? Am I allowed to list a car above a certain age, or am I allowed to list a car above a certain amount of mileage? And what type of title does the car need to have? As well as what type of car? Should I get a car? Should I get an SUV? Should I get a van? A lot of those questions do get asked very commonly. Now, as far as age, you cannot list a car that is over 12 years old. So as I'm making this video, it is 2024. That means any vehicle manufactured in 2012 or newer is eligible to be listed. Anything from 2011 back, you are not allowed to list that vehicle. There are certain exceptions for classic vehicles, but those ones are usually over 25 years old, and you want to contact Turo support before you even think about listing a car like that to make sure it's worth the investment. Now, as far as mileage, you cannot list a car that has over 130,000 miles. So if this car has 130,001 miles, you cannot list that vehicle. It is deemed to be ineligible by Turo. So 130,000 miles is the cap. Now, what happens if while you have this vehicle, it goes over 130,000 miles or it is over 12 years old? Am I required to delist the vehicle? The answer to that question is no. As long as you are properly maintaining your vehicle and there are no major issues, then you are grandfathered in to continue listing that car. We have a couple of vehicles that are close to that 130,000 mile mark and they are still going strong. They really don't have any issues, and we are continuing to maintain them regularly, so we don't have any problems with keeping them listed for our guests. And the last question around eligibility is clean title only. So you can only list a vehicle with a clean title. It cannot have a rebuilt title. It cannot have a salvage title. It cannot have any title other than a clean title vehicle. So you have to look at Carfax or whatever the case may be and get your information on the vehicle before you purchase it to make sure that the vehicle that you are purchasing is one with a clean title. Now, as far as the vehicle type, this is dependent on your market. So you definitely want to do your research and check and see whether the car that you're buying is going to make sense for your market. What works here in Jacksonville may not work in Detroit, or it may not work in California. So you want to look at the trends. You may want to see what is available on Turo and what might have the most trips and start with something from there. Definitely don't shoot from the hip and just pick whatever car unless you are intending on buying this car for maybe yourself and you're okay if it doesn't get a whole lot of bookings, because that may ultimately be the case. You may get a car and it may become a total dud. It may not be one that gets a lot of bookings, and if that ends up being the case, then you definitely want to have a contingency plan. You don't want to be getting a Corolla and saying, oh, this is going to get me $1,000 a month every single month. Like, don't make that estimate. Be willing and able financially to make your monthly payment should this vehicle not do well on the platform. Next question would be insurance. What kind of insurance can I carry on the vehicle? Now, you're going to see a lot of stuff out there that's going to be saying things like, oh, I don't tell my insurance company that I list my car on Turo and this and that. That's at your own risk, to be honest, because insurance companies do drop people for having vehicles listed on a car sharing platform. So if you decide that you're going to do that, that's on you. That's not something that we personally do, but it's, you know, whatever you decide to do, that's entirely up to you. Now, there are commercial insurance providers out there that you can look into so that you can list your vehicles as a fleet on a commercial insurance policy. Those are the ones that we use. It's called an off-rental program. And basically, when your car is not being rented out, that insurance then covers it. It is a high deductible plan. It does have mileage limits, but it minimizes your cost of what you have to pay per month for insurance for the sake of being able to list it on Turo and being able to keep it reasonable. When the car is out on a trip, it is covered by Turo's trip protection. So generally you don't have to worry about using the commercial insurance for those purposes. It's mainly in the in-between when a car has finished a rental and it's about to start another one. Now, there are a couple of companies out there, and I would mention some of them, but there is sort of a bit of a change going into the commercial insurance landscape. So I'm just going to tell you, do your research, look for off-rental insurance, and you'll be able to find a listing of some of the insurance companies that are out there. ABI is one of them, or also known as Period X. They cover insurance for commercial vehicles as of right now. But again, just do your research and see if you can find the one that works best for you, because right now we're kind of in this limbo. The landscape is a little bit changing around that. Now, the next question is, where do we park our vehicles? Where do you park your vehicles? It all depends on where you are currently set up at, where you are doing your business through Turo. If you have multiple vehicles that you're intending to list, then maybe you want to consider having an area that you can park your vehicles, because there are some places where you have a HOA or you have some kind of rules within your, let's say, apartment complex. That's probably the common one that I've heard, that you can't park all of your vehicles in that one particular area. So you definitely want to look. For us personally, a lot of our vehicles are parked in an airport parking lot. We do pay a daily rate. However, they're barely there. They sit there for maybe 1 to 2 days and then they're back out again. So we keep our costs to a minimum. If we know that a car is going to be sitting for a long period of time, then we may take a ride up to the airport and grab the car and bring it back to the house, and we will leave it here until it's ready to go out on its next rental, and then we figure out where it needs to be. Next question is going to be around key handoff. So do I meet with a guest and hand the keys off? Do I use a lockbox? How does all of that work? So we have lock boxes for all of our vehicles. We hang them on the window so that when a guest comes to get the vehicle, it is fully contactless. They don't interact with us as a host unless we happen to be around. Then they can, but as of right now, lockbox is hanging on the vehicle's window and they can get the car that way. We give them clear instructions on how to access a lockbox, how to get it off the car, all that stuff. There are options for you to be able to hand the keys off to the guest if that works best for your schedule. The only reason that we don't do that is because a lot of our traffic is airport traffic, and they tend to have flight delays or things like that that can hinder us being available to meet the guest, because what if it's a 2-hour delay and we live a half an hour away from the airport? So we typically do the contactless and do the lockbox. There's also, of course, the other option, which is Turo Go. Some cars are eligible for that, where you have a key inside of the center console or inside of a, they call it a Faraday bag, and you can have them unlock the car using the Turo app. There are only certain cars that are eligible for that, and if you list the car on Turo, it will tell you if it is in fact eligible. Next is around percentages. What is the best percentage for me? A lot of hosts in the Turo community say the larger your fleet is, the larger your percentage should be so that you can pocket the most money. I say if you are able to cover the deductibles that are associated with those percentages, the higher the percentage you take, the higher your deductible is going to be. So if you go to a 90% plan, you have a $2,500 deductible for your car. So if you have to go through Turo and the damages are less than $2,500, you are on the hook for that. So that is something you want to be prepared for if you decide to go with a higher percentage. I'd say a lot of the reasonable ones when you're starting out are around 75 or 80%. 75% you have a $250 deductible, 80% you get a $750 deductible. So if you're able to swing that amount, should anything happen to your vehicles, then you can go with one of those plans. But again, that's entirely up to your financial situation and what you can afford if you have to go through Turo for a claim. And the very last thing that I'm going to tell you that all Turo hosts tell a new host when they ask 100 questions about how to start this business is read the terms of service of Turo. I will include a link to it in the description down in this video. Definitely read through that. It gives you everything you can think of, from vehicle eligibility to filing claims to taking pictures. Everything that you possibly need is within that terms of service. Obviously, you can ask other Turo hosts if you have questions about certain things as well, but that basically spells it out pretty well. And I'll tell you, a lot of the Turo hosts, if you ask a question that's already in the terms of service, they're going to tell you, read the terms of service. So try to read through that as much as you possibly can so you have an understanding of how all of this works. I am personally excited for you to start your Turo business. I hope it goes as well for you as it is going for us. If you are considering co-hosting the vehicle and you want us to be able to host your vehicle and make a little bit of passive income, our email is down below. Send us an email and let us know what you have, and we would be happy to chat with you through it. And if you need to rent a car in Jacksonville, make sure you visit AchooRentals.com. We have everything from compact cars, and we still have that beautiful minivan ready to seat your 7 passengers nice and comfortably. With that being said, that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this content, give it a big thumbs up, and please consider subscribing if you enjoy following this business, learning about Turo, learning about the family. We're getting a little bit more of the family involved, and we are getting towards summertime, so we're likely going to be bringing the kids around, the other kids that you haven't met yet. So stay tuned for all of that, and we just appreciate all of you watching and giving us that support. Thank you all again, and I hope you have a great day.